Hello and many thanks for joining us. My name is Tabitha John and these are the day's news. The Ethiopian Ministry of Foreign Affairs disclosed that Ethiopia maintains its position that the trilateral negotiation should continue under the auspices of the AU. In a statement it issued after the latest round of talks held between 4th and 5th of April in Kinshasa, the ministry said Ethiopia is committed to the principle of equitable use of the Nile River and the need for cooperation. While Ethiopia supported the draft communique submitted by the chairperson of the AU, with minor adjustment, Egypt and the Sudan rejected it. The two countries demanded the role of observers to replace that of the three countries and the AU. It said Ethiopia's resolve to reach a settlement on the first filling and related operation of the dam failed to bear result due to the rigid stance taken by Egypt and the Sudan. The two nations, it said, wanted to make the negotiation and the outcome a tool to affirm their self-claimed water share and foreclose Ethiopia's share. The statement underlined that Ethiopia will undertake the second filling of the GERD as scheduled. Ethiopia has expressed its enormous respect for the role played by President of the Republic of Congo, Felix Tshisekedi, and Chair of the AU for hosting the meeting. Ethiopia, it said, reiterates its position in support of a trilateral process that will maintain the ownership of the countries and integrity of the AU-led process. The latest round of talks held between Sudan, Egypt, and Ethiopia from 4th to 5th of April in Kinshasa has ended without agreement. Briefing journalists on Wednesday about the failed negotiation, Minister of Water, Irrigation and Energy, Seleshi Bekele, accused Sudan and Egypt of interrupting the talks with their unrealistic proposals. The minister confirmed Ethiopia's firm stance to proceed with the second phase filling of the GERD as per schedule, despite a persistent impasse with downstream countries. Alula Tekvamariam reports.
It is the first time for Ethiopia, Sudan and Egypt to physically meet in Kinshasa, DRC, since the outbreak of coronavirus in the continent. However, the three-day talks mediated by the African Union ended with no progress as Egypt and Sudan wanted an elevated role of international mediators in the process. The downstream countries also want a trilateral agreement on the dam's operations to be reached before reservoir filling began, where Ethiopia says filling is a natural part of the dam's construction and is thus impossible to postpone.
Unfortunately, this thing, even in this negotiation, it is similar behavior. The last 7 meetings, the negotiations were interrupted by calling for change of format, do this, do that, without focusing on what we have agreed. None of them were interrupted by Ethiopia. None of the previous 7 meetings were interrupted by Ethiopia.
The minister expressed Ethiopia's firm stance on ways of maintaining the enhanced role of international observers like South Africa, United States of America, and the European Union in the GERD negotiations to be facilitated by the African Union.
So we recognize our 3 observers, the United States of America, European Union, and South Africa. We agreed to enhance the role of the observers because we are the ones who have selected them. That enhancement of the role is, for example, when we have serious disagreement on issue and we cannot solve it by our discussion of the 3 party, we can pick that issue and request the observer to find for us a solution for our consideration. That is an enhancement of the role compared to the previous one.
Despite the disagreements with the downstream countries, Ethiopia would not be deterred from proceeding with the second phase of filling the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam in the coming rainy season.
On second year filling also it's very clear it has nothing to do with anything. As construction progresses, filling takes place. This is our commonly agreed declaration of principle. We don't deviate from that at all. We don't also deviate from what we have put in our documents. The 3 countries have agreed on stage-based filling. with defined quantity, 13.5 is the second year, and that time period is during the rainy season when we have a lot of flood, a lot of water in the rivers, where nobody will be harmed, nobody will be harmed because of capturing of that water.
Seleshi said Ethiopia is always committed to share data with the downstream countries regarding the second filling this rainy season.
Ethiopian Broadcast Authority and National Electoral Board of Ethiopia have allocated television and radio airtime and newspaper columns to political parties. The Broadcast Authority and the Electoral Board have so far announced the span of the radio and television airtime allocated to competing parties for political campaign and advertising ahead of the upcoming general election. The airtime and column allocation involved 46 competing political parties with 23 television and 21 radio stations and 8 newspapers. Accordingly, 620 radio hours, 425 television hours, and 625 newspaper columns have been reserved for political campaign. Registered political parties will be starting their election campaigns tomorrow. While the negative impact of social media prevails in the pre-election period, actors in the field call upon media organizations to contribute their fair share in ensuring speedy information flow. This, the actors say, helps curtail the negative impact of social media in the 6th general elections. An expert told ETV that actors must redouble their efforts to minimize the impact of disinformation by disseminating appropriate information to the general public. Haptamu Ashagri has the following report.
The world wakes up every day to find thousands of fake news disseminated by social media. The impact of such information in transitional societies like Ethiopia is enormous, to say the least. Talking to ETV, Mulatu Alemayo, who an instructor of journalism at the Addis Ababa University, said fake news or disinformation comes across the voters for various reasons.
There are so many reasons why fake news has become so prevalent. The first one is, it is money, it's business. Fake news attracts large audience than the truth. It is. We are human. We need very sensitive issues, and this fake news, they know which issue is very sensitive, and that can attract the large public. So it's a business. A business, that means they will get a large audience. This ultimately makes money for them. You know, journalism these days in the online media landscape, it's not the objectivity of reporting. Rather, it determines by the number of clicks. How many clicks does this story get? How many shares or how many engagements does this story entertain is one of the requirements or the measurement that the online media are using. Even they are paid by the number of clicks. If you have got large viewers, then you'll get much money.
While hundreds of irresponsible people thrive and make money by disseminating fake news, others aim to realize their narrow political interests by using new media platforms, Mulatu added.
Not only the viewers, but also in terms of money, it is business. So the media organization prefer to take some kinds of fake news. The other one is just to meet the political interest. You know, whenever you are doing something, you want to gain some advantage. Then this advantage, sometimes it's very difficult to do whatever you wish to do. So in this case, you can produce, right? I'm not saying the media, but some organization, they produce the fake news and they disseminate to the media.
Increasing the accessibility of accurate information as well as improving the quality of investigative report are some techniques to minimize the negative impact of disinformation, says the instructor.
If the government or any public sector provide you accurate information, timely information, then the number of or the extent of fake news could be radically minimized. Unfortunately, though we have access to information law, it's very difficult to get relevant information from the public. So generally, as a solution, journalists should focus on the facts, verification, verify. So when you get some information, try to cross-check from diverse sources. The second one, try to motivate the government officials to provide you accurate information.
Adopting the implementing vibrant advertisement policy is said to be crucial to share resources to all media institutions. The economic situation of media organization needed some improvement based on the interest of the general public, he said, adding the government must play a critical role in rendering support to media institutions.
The public, the commercial and the community radios, they have been facing so many challenges, including the finance, but they have to look for some additional businesses. Advertisement should be properly addressed. In fact, when it comes to advertisement, there is a need to have a clear advertisement policy that can equitably share the resource for all the media organizations. Or else it would be difficult for the media to provide services if they are not running in the same platform. So the economic situation of the media shall be improved, and this improvement should be based on the interests of the people, and the government also should support the media organization, irrespective of private, public and community radios.
The government also needs to maximize its interests based on the desire of the public, the instructor remarked.
That much well advanced.
Leader of the Ethiopian Citizens for Social Justice Party, Birhanu Nagga, introduces the party's key policies and strategies regarding Addis Ababa city. Birhanu said it's clearly stipulated in the document that change is imperative to substantially improve the lives of its residents who have been trapped by political conspiracy for years. Take a listen to him.
It is critical to understand that Addis Ababa's deeply entrenched problems that remained unsolved for years. Our party is determined to alleviate the city's chronic problems if we win. Izema believes in true federalism, which is based on decentralization. Addis Ababa is a city for all Ethiopians, but we need to make it convenient for its citizens. What we are saying is Addis Ababa should be governed by any Ethiopian citizen who understands its nature, but only elected by its dwellers.
The prominent economist who represents Izema for the Addis Ababa City Council, Kibur Ganna, also said that his party has come up with a strong and problem-solving policy that can change the lives of Addis dwellers for the better. Listen to him.
Addis Ababa የጋራ ከተማ ነች የሚለው ነው። አዲስ አበባ የጋራ ከተማ ነች ማለት
Addis Ababa is our common city where we live, eat, drink and stand together. We all should unite our efforts to modernize Addis Ababa. Izema has an ambitious plan to build more than 200,000 condominium houses in the next 5 years to significantly solve housing problems. Our focus will be improving the lives of the poor who are hit hard by persistent economic uncertainties. The city will implement cost-effective measures to ease rising costs of living, establish a strong security structure to maintain peace and security, create job opportunities for youth, and modernize municipal services and other activities that are suitable for the city.
Opposition political parties vow to jointly work with pertinent stakes for the peaceful conduct of the 6th upcoming general elections. The ruling Prosperity Party, for its part, dubs the upcoming general election critical for a democratic culture to flourish in the country. Emmanuel Jorge has compiled the following.
From the very beginning, Balderas has been established to compete only in Addis Ababa. We have a total of 160 candidates for both the House of People's Representatives and for the Addis Ababa City Council. Our candidates will compete in the 23 seats of the House of People's Representatives and in 137 out of 138 seats for the City Council. Our campaigning has been peaceful and promising so far. We have not experienced any inconveniences.
We have prepared our policies and strategies. We were able to introduce our election manifesto to our supporters and the people at large in Samara. Our official campaigning has helped us grab high attention and got more supporters.
The peace and security problem in Metekel zone challenged us to introduce our program to our people. People are still being displaced from their localities, so the government should give due attention to what is happening there. We are trying our best to solve the problem in different ways. We believe that it is a political problem which seeks a political solution. It requires collaboration of all stakes as the government cannot solve it single-handedly. We are still running active campaigning in different areas. Our concern right now is the security issues the country has been battling with over the past 3 years. Is the state really able to conduct a general election with these security threats at stake? It still remains a question for us. But with all complexities, we believe that the election should be conducted and we are ready for that. There are some political parties who are using the old method of campaigning. They are accusing us of repeated violations which do not exist at all. We are still doing well despite their deliberate tactics to defame our party. Without doubt, we are open for correction if they give us constructive comments. Blaming us with false pretexts is wrong. We want to make the election peaceful for our own sake.
markii ruuxi mudin biyo yar way dhaafeen qabalayada way soo noqdeen
fuliyo wakaalada bacdiga naafada leerkan wuxuu hal abuur ka dhashay dhalinyaradii ka qalin jibisay TVEDka maamulka magaalada Gaxbuur ama kulliyadda farsamada xirfadaha ee maamulka magaalada Gaxbuur waxaa dhacday in iyagu macnaha sanadkii hore waxaan fulinay 3 kiiloomitir oo leerka sirideelka iyagoo macnaha kaashanaya fikirkooda iyo macnaha aaladan cusub iyo siyaasiyadan cusub iyo macnaha
waxaa kamid ahaa dadku inay ka noqdaan meelaha koonaha kale ilaa meesha bajaajka ma jirto malaha wayna arki waayaan ee galaamida ruuxa taagan ma arkayo halka naga soo
An expert of diplomacy, Ndale Neguse, says the intensified attempt by Western powers to intervene in Ethiopia's internal affair emanates from their hatred and contempt for Ethiopia's independence. He stated that those powers are pressuring to intrude in Ethiopia's issue because Ethiopia's diplomacy in the previous regime served their interests. Emmanuel Joge reports.
There is a vivid and recent memory that some Western powers trying to intervene in Ethiopia's internal affairs. An Ethiopian scholar on diplomacy, Ndale Neguse, said those who want the intervention are nations who are not happy on Ethiopia's symbolic image of independence to the world.
This is not new, as you know. You can see, Ethiopia is a symbol of independence. So there are individuals, there are officials, some government leaders, still they are not happy because of this. Ethiopia is a symbol of independence for the whole nations, even including for America. America was colonized by Britain for more than 180 years, 80, almost around 200 years. Ethiopia is a symbol of them. Ethiopia is the symbol for Europe regarding independence. So, unfortunately, some scholars, some mainstream medias, still they are against this, approach of Ethiopia's independence, Ethiopia's, symbolic feature. So they are still against that. So always, they want to interfere in the domestic affairs of Ethiopia so as to revenge these long, hidden motives of them.
He underscored that they are not worried about the humanitarian assistance in Ethiopia rather than the colonial sentiment in their minds.
Ethiopians are defending, their countries, their national interests, because we are in the right track. The fact is with us. Even you can see regarding their approach, it's still, they do not, give a kind of humanitarian properly without their words. They have to come to, the word. So they have to respect Ethiopian sovereignty. They have to respect, regarding domestic affairs of Ethiopia. So the very essence is the colonial sentiment. You can see they want to maintain their status quo so as to divide Ethiopia, so as to weaken Ethiopia using any means.
He added that they are supporting the dying group in the north because they were satisfying them by dividing and ruling Ethiopia.
Basically, they try to divide Ethiopia using that, agent of them. That group, those, the dead group at north, the dead group was their agent. They are not happy because that group basically always tried to satisfy their long dream.
So I will show you around the camp a little bit. 10 cars around one lion. Sometimes there were like 4 cars at one spot. Sometimes you were totally alone. For example, when we saw a rhino, we were like alone in the jungle. So we were totally happy we did this tour, and I think the price is all right, as you get like 3 nights of accommodation, you have food, you have the tour guide, and you also have the entrance fee for the park.
Last time to see a rhino so close.
Yeah, they're crossing the road.
Crossing.